So it gives you an example of the way we were getting into and approaching the music, and we just love to play those spaghetti western themes. And those sounds are pretty efficient, and it allows us to, if you notice, if you look at us when we're playing, you will notice that we're never doing a similar thing. If I'm playing in this, like the classical way of playing the notes, and I'm playing in this area, the guys will probably use, one of them will use a different sound, and the other one will be in another register. Because the thing with guitar ensemble is mostly this. It has to be clear, because the principle is orchestration. You take different sounds and you put them together, and it becomes clear that way. And our challenge very soon was the challenge of orchestration, because when you have in a band a vocal and a guitar and a bass and a drum, nobody's stepping on each other's feet, because everybody has his own place in the music. But so when we started using all those different sounds, we started the orchestration of them, and just realized that we thought there were many ways of finding sounds on the guitar, but we didn't know that there were so many, actually. There's lots of things, lots of different sounds, and we're still finding some. Actually, we have this show with the California Guitar Trio, and recently Sébastien wrote a piece for the sextet, and we haven't learned it yet. But just like 15 minutes ago, I just asked him, explain to me what I'm doing in my part in the beginning, and I'm doing kind of things that sounds like nothing I've played before. It's a simple principle, but it's a different sound completely. So 14 years later, we still find those sounds and those ways of orchestrating those sounds, and that's the very strong thing about the guitar music. And the guitar music now is getting more and more influence from one style to the other. It's going there, you know. And for guitar players, especially, it will always be a very strong tool to, even if you're a rock guitar player, like. There's some examples, you know, but this old guitar player from Ozzy Osbourne's band, you know, his name was, who was a fantastic guitar player. His name was Randy Rhoads, and he's dead now, but he influenced thousands of guitar players because of his classical background, because he played like no one else. And there were not that many at that time, but there were some. Jimmy Page used the Arabian and the Indian influence and everything, and there's more and more and more, and there's not 10% of that already done. It's a very strong force in the music, and especially in the guitar music. We have another piece that we play that we use that is a little bit more strange and influenced by the music of the world, and there are some strange techniques in that point too, and we'd like to explain to you how you can play those and extend the guitar and play those techniques on your guitar. So it's called Garam Masala.
Yeah, it's a piece that I wrote. Actually, it was the first composition that I wrote for the trio. The first album, like Mark said at the beginning, was mostly arrangement from a composer. At that point, it was really important to do that and learn and try to figure out what her style was. But after that, you know, it was really an important point in MG3's development when we started, me and Jen started to compose a lot for the trio. And this piece is a really particular one because it's influenced by the raga from India. So, you know, in the Indian music style, there's a really, really specific kind of form, the raga, that is really, really, really strict. And I really studied all this music, and I try to base my composition on the raga style, of course, with other influences, because we like to mix a lot of different styles. So in this one, I decided to mix the Arabian root, like Moroccan music, a little bit in there. But basically, the form is really around the raga, and there's a lot of Indian instrument, and the oud imitation is somewhere in there. The first thing when you hear some Indian music, you have a drone in the back, right? And this drone is made by an instrument called the tempura, And most of the time, I mean, now it's not true anymore, but the tempura was always played by the wife's sitar player, because women weren't allowed in India to do some music, so the only thing they were allowed to play was the tempura, but by chance now they have changed it. So because of that, Mark has long hair, so I decided that Mark would play the tempura part.
So I'm the sitar player's wife.
Kind of. So the tempura was a kind of a drum and tuning, but not to enter in the detail, it's a kind of a B power chord, B5 tuning. So we'll show you the technique that it is.
When we learn guitar, there's some things that your teacher is going to tell you. It's like he's going to tell you that this doesn't sound good. It's not a nice sound, but sometimes we can use it.
After a while, at the beginning, the tempura is always like that. When they start to play, you kind of hear exactly all the notes, but after a while, you don't hear it, like it's just kind of turning around. And then, nice playing. And in the intro too, I was trying to get the sound of the Arabian flute, the oud. The oud is a 6 double string instrument, just like the 12 string, to make a comparison. But the thing with the oud is always like double string, the same note 2 times. So I just find a way to tune my guitar that I have 2 times the same note to really imitate the oud. See, if I play, for example, the theme with only 1 string, sounds good already, but with 2 string it's more powerful and it's really... And for the high pitch, I decided to tune 2 beats at the top of Ken's guitar, so he's able to do like the melodies, just something like that. That you find in the wood when you play 2 double string. Yeah, and then the technique is a kind of a frog technique that we call, because you have to play like 2 strings at the same time, so you have to put all your fingers flat.
Yeah, always 2 strings.
And the other thing that I decided to integrate in the Garam Masala piece I wrote is, of course, the tablas that are the main instrument in the Indian music. So I just need to figure out a way to have a bass tone somewhere, some high tone, and because I have an open tuning, I'm able to make the drum done by the sitar too and the tablas at the same time. So I'll just show you this technique. That's the combination of the sitar, drum, and the tablas, the percussion instrument. I have the guy doing the drum in the back, and at the beginning I have the wood. So I have 4 other tools that normally a guitar doesn't do. So I think that's about also at the end, because also again I have open tuning. I'm able to do some percussion with the drum too. To have this kind of tuning to really open the volume of the guitar by itself and really bring it somewhere. So the best thing to see what we can do with that is play the piece. So we'll play this piece called Garam Masala. That means special blend of spice. Every chief in India do his own blend of Garam Masala, and it's always different from a chief to another chief. So that's what I done with my composition. Take a little bit of spice everywhere and then. So this is Garam Masala.